details of a few, and that is why I hate you.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, everybody?
Joaquin's eating fried chicken. Woo! Wait, that's gone already?
And that is why I hate you.
Dude, that was a full fucking piece of
it's
chicken.
right here. It's right here.
You son of a bitch. Before we start recording, Joaquin's got a full piece of fried chicken in his hand. I start the music. I'm not paying attention. I look over and it's just a bone. Jesus Christ, you fucking animal. I was very confused there for a minute. Holy shit. So folks, yeah, we haven't recorded in a couple weeks here. We had some shit going on in our lives. That caused us to not be able to, as always. But we're back. We're back. We're gonna talk about some fun shit today. You know what I was really thinking about hard the other day?
What's up?
Thinking, I wish it was like 1990. I don't know, 1997 or 1998.
Okay.
Like, I just wish we could go back to that year. Like
do you want to age backwards to that time?
No,
or do you
I
want to stay the age you are.
I want to still be an adult, but I want to be an adult back, because if I was aged backwards, I'd be a kid in fucking high school, and that would suck.
Yeah.
I wanted to be this age, but I wanted to be like 1998, 1998.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, think of, okay. So like, let's think about this. You were just singing Nirvana.
Yes.
So maybe, I don't know what year Kurt Cobain killed himself, but Lane Staley, Alice in Chains would still be alive. Chris Cornell, Soundgarden, would still be alive. Scott Weiland would still be alive. Stone Temple Pilots. Chester Bennington would still be alive.
A lot of musicians that would still be alive around that time.
Yeah, all kinds of good musicians. The fucking World Trade Center would still be there.
Nobody would even think. Nobody even be
Osama
thinking
bin who? Osama, who the fuck's that? We need to do something about that Saddam Hussein guy.
Jesus.
Like, that's where we would be.
When did the Unabomber attack?
I don't know. I don't mind that so much, though.
I thought it was in the 90s.
That's okay, though. That's not that bad. It's just some backwoods hillbilly, like, sending packages in the mail, muttering to himself in a shed. So, like,
Jesus,
I'm okay with that. The name Kardashian
just didn't matter to anybody.
Well, I guess it mattered, but
they were around.
You'd associate the name with defending a black guy, not fucking a black guy.
Okay, fine. I guess, yeah.
You know, the internet was slow, but like, life was slow.
The internet before Al Gore, yeah.
Yeah, life was slow though, so like, it's okay. Like, it was okay that you had to wait for your, people that like
dial up.
I knew where to find.
I didn't have internet. You know what? Did I have Windows 98? I think I did have Windows 98.
In 98, you probably did.
Yeah, my dad used the computer. I wasn't allowed to.
Like, but porn was hard to find, but I knew where to find it. I knew where to go.
Oh, no, not even hard to find. It was hard to load.
Well, yeah, I mean,
as soon as you found it, you need to find a window where nobody was around for it to like load up.
Yeah,
slow.
You know what I used to do? I had. Why am I talking about this? I had this program called like Pick Sucker or something like that, and it would just go in Usenet forums, because Usenet
was never familiar with. I'm not familiar with it.
Usenet.
I know what Usenet is.
I'm not going to get into what it is. I'm not going to get into explain it. But it would just because in the early days of Usenet was much more limited. I mean, now there's like all kinds of index. You have to pay for an indexer to help you find pirated stuff and stuff. But you could just tell you like, load this program and be like, go into this porn index and just download all the pictures, and it would just go download all the pictures while you weren't on your computer. And like,
way back in the day when all computers were just like maybe 150 megabytes
of
memory.
They're so slow.
Kill it.
You'd run it overnight, you'd have like 20 pictures the next morning.
Jesus.
And the pictures were like not, they're like softcore shit. It was like Playboy fucking shit.
Yeah.
But
the good old days,
fine.
Before we all became depraved.
It was fine. Yeah, we Republicans and Democrats were just like opposite sides. They weren't mortal enemies. Life was just better.
Mortal psychopaths at that.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I guess 3 years later, the towers would come down and shit would start to get real. But
then again,
I could stop it though. If I could go back, I could stop it.
So you and I was thinking about you while driving in the car, because I was thinking about people going, having arguments and be like, well, you're not this. So I'm sorry. Let me start again. This morning I saw this film thing I watched. They like posting up monologues.
Okay.
And so they posted up a monologue from Barbie by I think America
America
Ferrera. That was
Ferrera's,
her name.
yeah, America
Her
Ferrera
monologue.
had the famous Barbie movie
Yeah,
monologue. Yeah,
which in my opinion, because because I looked at the comment section because I'm an idiot, and people were arguing. It was a bunch of women going, men complaining about it in 5, 4, 3 or whatever, right? And then
fuck you.
like male feminists going, I'm a man and I'm comfortable in my sexuality, so this was a great speech. I'm like, okay, my personal opinion as a man is that I felt like that scene was ham-fisted. I love the movie.
Of course, it was ham-fisted. You
But
love
that
the movie?
scene
I forgot we
was-
talked about this. I did not like the
that
movie.
scene was ham-fisted. It was ham-fisted. And other than that, the rest of the movie had the same message and did it better than that scene kind of beating you in the head about what it was about.
In some
in my
ways,
opinion.
This you know what? I think it was Bill Maher's show. This is how bad it's gotten with me. I have nothing to watch right now. It's so bad that I actually watched the last couple new episodes of Real Talk, whatever is Bill Maher's
Real Time
show
with
is,
Bill Maher.
which we talked about how we don't like Bill Maher and he's full of himself. But I was like, I'll put this on because I like the discourse. I like he has people on the show that sometimes know what they're talking about. So I like watching the discourse. But they were talking about Barbie movie in one of the episodes and how if you took, there was a woman on, she was like, if you take America Ferrera's little monologue from the movie and like shift it to the perspective of a man, it still kind of works without really changing anything.
Well, because it literally is just talking about the pressures of being in society. That's literally the whole thing is. Yep. It's not. They just put a woman coat on it, which was where I was going. I was like, the thing is with that monologue is I feel like I've heard it a million times before for years and years and years and years, and it's acting as if nothing is either changing or allowing women to, like, I grew up, women were mostly my favorite characters in shows and movies. Like
we've
Ripley
talked about this before. Ripley, Chitara, like there are all kinds of
it was a million of
figures when we were kids that were just badasses. Sarah Connor,
and they didn't have to preach about like the pressures of it. Not saying let's leave it out and there aren't pressures. It's just that again, it's not ham-fisted and it's not saying the same tired thing over and over. That's the same. I go for any group that wants to preach about it. That's why Jordan Peele's movies are so good, because it's not preaching the same thing in a way that's just boring.
Agreed. Yeah.
So like people are arguing in it and it was like, well, you're not a man, so you wouldn't understand. And I started thinking about it. It's like, okay, here's something I never thought about, but it's very true. Nobody knows where anyone's talking from.
No.
Like
no, it's literally impossible to understand the perspective of anybody who is not very, very similar to you. I mean, even within race and sex and gender identity, people have different life experiences.
Identical, you have to have almost identical like life experiences.
Absolutely.
And even between siblings, shit can be varied immensely. So I'm just like, isn't this a moot point to say, well, since you're not this, you don't understand? No, you just want to be able to be a victim, which we've had this conversation before.
Yep.
Ultimately, the thing is, you want people who don't understand to understand you, so shut the fuck up and understand what their perspective is before you respond.
That would be the
smart
thing to do.
Like, if they're completely trying to shut down your perspective, that's one thing. But if they say one thing you don't like about it, all of a sudden they're wrong. Like me giving my opinion going, I like the movie, but I hate that scene. Because I feel like it's just too much.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would be demonized as opposed to like, well, okay, either you have a point or I don't feel that way because XYZ.
Yeah, when I say I didn't like the movie, there were some really funny parts. I thought a lot of the humor was good. It's just the overall story and message were I was just tired of it. Bill Maher points out something that I also thought about. Like, they have the scene where she goes to the boardroom and it's like 12 fucking old white dudes. And he said he looked it up, and it's literally 6 and 6. There's 6 women and 6 men on the actual Mattel board.
And that was actually on purpose. They announced it when they started doing that.
And then and they're also just a bunch of dumb fucking morons, which is just, it's so heavy-handed to me that I'm like, this it's not believable anymore. Make them believable. Make them believable misogynist men, not these like overly stupid, overly misogynist characters
who don't understand women at all. Yeah, but for some reason have the job.
To me, that fucks up your message. Then I can't. My disbelief comes in, and I'm just like, this is silly, and I can't get behind it.
Like I've said before, once it becomes disingenuous, it makes it really hard to follow behind a message.
Right. Absolutely. Just good example. I just finished recently a book called Yellowface. I'm not going to go in crazy detail about it, but it's a book about a white woman who is like kind of friends with this Chinese American author who's really famous. She goes over to her house to hang out, and they really haven't hung out much. The Chinese American author chokes to death. She's got this manuscript for a new book that nobody knows about, and the white woman author decides to steal the book and then publish it as her own. And at first, the book was really good about being kind of nuanced with how she was like a little bit racist and a little Karen-y. But by the end of the book, it was so fucking heavy-handed. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, she's like talking about Asians like they're all just little porcelain people anyway. They can't hurt. She can't hurt me. It's like just completely over the top Karen and racist about everything.
Wow.
And like the book started out and I actually really enjoyed it. And I was like, oh, this is good. And I actually, the friend that recommended it to me, I said, I messaged her, I was like, hey, yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I really like the subtleties that they, like, if you're not thinking about it, you're not picking up on the subtleties they're adding. Yeah. And then I messaged her when I finished. I was like, what the fuck happened? And she said, that's the last time I recommend a book before I finish it. She was like, I totally agree. And
like she just kind of like hooked you with like you know being nice, and then just pulled you into like the big racist pool.
She started the book too, and must have felt the same way.
No, not your friend, the author.
The author, yeah.
I was assuming the author was a woman.
The author is also, and that was the other funny thing. The author is a Chinese immigrant American woman that wrote the book. So she's writing a book about this racist white Karen caricature from the perspective of a Chinese American woman.
Yeah.
It's just, I like the irony of that. And then the book is about her stealing a Chinese, like, I was like, but you wrote a book about a white American woman. So you kind of like appropriated that character to make your point. Yeah. Anyway.
But again, it became disingenuous. That's, people wearing, just like it's really popular online for people to put on digital blackface. Now, I've been accused of being white before because of my opinion online.
Digital blackface.
And I don't show my face. But digital blackface is literally like, in a comment section, somebody will say some shit like, well, I'm black and I did XYZ. And then somebody...
As a black man.
Usually on Reddit. Yeah, it's usually somebody as a black man. And somebody on Reddit usually like, dude, I see your history. You were an Asian guy yesterday and a white guy. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Oh, okay. I see. Yeah. That's a good term. Is that a popularized term?
It is a popular term.
Okay, I haven't heard it before. Digital, any, pretending to be any other type of human being is a good term.
I like blackface being a catch-all for anybody that tries to appropriate another race for whatever agenda they have.
Yeah.
Just because blackface just hits really hard.
It does.
Black people don't look like that, so we already know that's. I mean, it originated from not from us, but as us. But ultimately, it just means to be a caricature of a person. In my mind, that's.
You're right. You're right. The word hits the right way.
It just hits hard.
I'm not going to get
because I can't say digital yellow face. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Hard. It doesn't. It doesn't work. Yeah, you're right.
And it just doesn't. It just doesn't. And there are people who take up nationalities in that way, but you can't again use like digital pink face. You can't digital olive face. Like none of that works.
Yeah, it doesn't. You're right.
Although digital red face might have a ring to it.
Digital red face. Digital redskin.
Duh!
That feels dirty, doesn't it?
For some reason, that made me think of pork rinds. So
my wife, she'll probably be mad that I'm rehashing this, but we got in an argument last night because I said cunt a few times in frustration. No, in frustration. No, I would never do that. In frustration. And we've had this argument a million times, and she's right every time, but she always yells at me for using it. And I'm like, it's the only word that has any bite anymore. Like, it's the only way I could get out my frustration. Like, no other word. And I hate that. And I had this whole thing where I was just like, I hate that words have, because I said to her, I was like, why do you hate the word? And I was dead. I was serious. She thought I was being an asshole, but I was serious. Why do you hate the word? Because I don't understand. Like, I hate the fact that we give words so much goddamn power in our language. It's just a sound.
I know why she hates the word. I think I know why she hates the word. I know why you think it has so much bite.
It's a derogatory, dirty
simple.
word. That's what something like that.
You both are not Australian.
I brought that up, and of course that's a stupid argument. Well, the Australians in English use it all the time because that's a good.
No, I wouldn't have said that. What I'm saying is, like, in our culture, it has a bite.
Right.
In theirs, it's like fucking farting. It's
like,
so easy to just do.
I think about it and I'm like, well, that's how I express my frustration. I'm angry. I'm like, fuck, cunt, fucking cunt, mother. I'll yell that.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, what's better? Yelling a word or punching holes in the walls or beating your children or throwing shit across the room? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I like how the scale just.
Well, I'm just saying.
Okay, but no. What I'm saying is, like, in my
I'm
head,
being hyperbolic to make my point.
I know, but I saw the visualization of the things you were saying, and you were just like hitting the wall. Visuals here.
Hitting a child.
Beating your kids up here. Throwing shit. Drops back down.
But people release anger and steam and shit like that in a lot of different ways.
Very destructive ways.
Just saying a
it's
word
better than drinking like
saying a word is probably the most healthy way to release any pent up frustrations and anger.
If you're just saying it to the ether, like you're just cussing to just let out that frustration, that's good. Because words can be destructive. Like if you went to the wrong type of person and said certain words.
Well, she brought up the N word and the F words, and I was like, "This is different. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing."
You know,
and she got me because she's like,
she
got me because she's like, well, you wouldn't yell those words out in frustration, would you? And I'm like, yeah, and okay, you're right, right.
But there are a bunch of other white dudes who do.
I almost doubled down. It was just like, well, I think I should be able to say those words whenever and I was like, no, I'm not doubling down.
If we remember,
I was like, because I'm just being an idiot.
The most popular YouTuber just said nigger to a video game. Let's just saying it to the ether.
Yeah.
And like, it's just the only thing that keeps white guys from saying that word or even on the same point wanting to say the word real bad, except for you, is that they'll get in trouble.
Yeah.
And I think you all have a fetish for getting in trouble.
No, the way I would feel about those words too is I have no problem with using them in context. Like if I'm reading a book or if I'm quoting, I don't have a problem with that. I think it's fine. And I openly, if I'm quoting something, like if I'm talking to my wife, let's say, well, this is different. Again, I'm talking to my white wife. Like if I'm
You're making a point.
Yeah, I'll say the word if I'm like, yeah, this kid said this. I'll just say the word because I'm conveying information. I'm not using it in a negative way. But I don't know if I've not been in the situation where
your
I would
brain
do that.
Isn't wired to say certain words like that.
Sure,
which is fine. Cunt kind of covers it.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
Like I don't usually have, like, as I said, with the R word, I don't have an urge to say it unless I'm saying it on the show. It's really weird. And I had to really think about why. And it's because, one, I grew up saying the word.
Right.
But then I just stopped. Yeah, I had no reason to do it. Because I saw this conversation online because somebody sent me a South Park thing where they were saying faggot. Right. And they were in court and everything, so everybody brought the R word into the comment section. And keep in mind, because I'm not saying that to somebody who has mental handicap. I've never said no. I'm saying that to a person with perfectly good faculties being really stupid.
Sure.
And I need to get a hard word out to literally say that that's who they are.
No, and that's the frustration part, right? You're like, this is the perfect word for me to use to describe what you're doing right now. But I can't use it. Well, South Park used the N-word too. Don't forget they had the
I know.
Fortune episode.
I know, and I don't care.
I don't care either. I know people complain about it, but it was like, no, that was the joke of the episode. Like the whole point of the episode was you can't. He didn't do it in this negative or bad way, and it still had its effect. Actually, I did kind of use the word the other day because my wife messaged. Not real. Well, hold on.
I'm going to judge you now.
My wife texted me and she said, she was like, guess what I did today? And I was like, what? She's like, I helped both tie and untie a do-rag for one of her kids. And I wrote back, I just texted her back, you a real N-word now. But I didn't use the hard
No, I know.
I used asterisks.
It's pretty funny.
I used asterisks too.
I did that your wife white ladied to you. Oh, I helped one of the blacks.
No, she didn't.
No, I know she did. I know she did it. I know she did it.
Guess
but
what?
It's funny to me to think of her doing that because I know she's listening.
No, yeah. No, she was just like, guess what I learned to do today? And I wrote N asterisk A, I think. Is that enough asterisks? Yeah. So I didn't actually write it, but I thought it was hilarious. I'm actually speaking of. I'm reading Dean Koontz's. I've been reading Dean Koontz forever. He's one of my favorite authors. And I showed. Remember, did I send you the picture of him with his hair, his big fake wig, clearly a wig.
Yes.
I love. Oh,
Yes.
it's the worst wig ever. But I'm reading his new book, and in his new book, there's this group of gang members, right? And there's just nothing. I'm every time I read a chapter from the gang members' perspective, or where it's the gang members doing stuff, I'm just thinking of this dude. I'm picturing his face, this old white guy writing like homie and stuff.
Yeah, it's just
and I'm just like, dude, just stay in your lane. You're too old to be writing these characters, man. Like, what are you doing? I can't stop laughing.
You.
I
Buddy,
can't.
This isn't you.
I can't get invested in the story because I'm just laughing at the thought of this white guy sitting at a typewriter hoping, "What's up, my homie?"
But my thing is, he has the right to do it. But if you fail, you have the right to be made fun of.
Oh yeah.
So if Dean Koontz was to do it and to make the most caricaturish, cartoonish, Scooty-Doo black people by accident,
I have no problem with
him doing fun of for it.
100%. He can write. I don't have a problem with him writing it. It's just I can't separate the picture of him in my head from him.
Oh no, it's hilarious.
In a typewriter writing it, or
you know what?
Typewriter, keyboard, whatever.
I agree with you. Let's go back to '98. Even though my life was very different in '98 than yours.
Well, again, we're not
Rodney King and all that shit with the police had not.
I'm not worried about
that back then.
Dude, I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about me as a white man. Come on.
But I do have to say that
the gays couldn't get married, you know, but that doesn't affect me.
When there was just a few celebrity others that aren't actors. So there was like a few celebrity book authors. There were a few celebrity, sports athletes that were on things. So we didn't have like J.K. Rowling's. If Twitter never happened, if we went back and just destroyed Twitter before it became a thing, right?
Sure. Yeah.
People would not be in these camps against a fictional Wizard Boy cartoon book series thing.
No, they wouldn't.
Which is absurd because she already made it. She made her money off of it just to spite this evil bitch. We wouldn't have known until she went to jail for doing some evil shit. If she ever did.
Social media was
too much knowledge is just fucking us up.
Oh no, agreed. Social media was years away from blowing up to the point where we had all this access to information, and it allowed people to become famous without having to go through. And maybe, I don't think it's a good thing that there were these certain channels you had to go through to become a famous actor or a famous celebrity. Yeah. And, that means there's a lot of gatekeeping and people who had say over it. I like the fact the internet opened it up so that anybody can become famous and become known for something. But we have too many fucking people out there doing it now.
It's a double-edged fucking sword.
Yeah, it is.
We are to a point where absurdity isn't a line. Absurdity isn't a line. We have a bunch of nut job politicians that people are just going behind, but just we didn't tolerate them doing stupid shit like this.
No,
what was it? George Soros, who's a fucking liar and everybody knows it.
Right.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, this other woman who was in Beetlejuice the musical, jerking off her boyfriend.
One of the funniest things I think I've ever
and then she's just mugging about it. Like the fuck.
She's in Beetle. John Oliver had a really
the musical.
I can't do a better bit about it.
But she was high.
Yeah, I can't do a better bit about it than John Oliver did on his show. But like, he's just like. Just keep in mind, she wasn't at like Kinky Boots or something. She was at Beetlejuice the musical, a show about death, doing hand stuff with her fucking boyfriend, who apparently that was their first date.
And smoking,
and vaping. Yeah, she's vaping.
That's what it was, vaping.
With a pregnant woman. And the woman basically was just like, can you please stop? Like, wasn't being a Karen. It was like, could you please stop? And she didn't stop. And then they removed her as the second act started.
She made a scene. She didn't stop. Then she made a scene, and then when they had her leave, she made a scene again.
And then she pulled the, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?
Do you know who I am? Who the fuck? Have you noticed that only white women do that?
Yes.
Old, I'm sorry, really old white guys and white women. Hold on.
No, white women and
rich,
college-age bros. College-age bros.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, you're right. My dad. Do you know who my dad is?
That's right. It's not do you know who I am? It's do you know who my dad is?
Do you know what dick I ride?
That was one of Bill Burr used to on his podcast for a while. He couldn't stop talking about this one video of this college bro like getting in a fight with a bouncer outside, going, "You know who my dad is?" And the bouncer just knocks the fuck out.
I would too. I would just
agreed.
Like,
No,
I don't give a shit.
Speaking of
videos.
Yeah, speaking of videos.
I think you're gonna go where I'm gonna go.
Go ahead. Yeah, well, you
you, sir.
You sent the video to me.
So you are not interested in it. Go ahead.
Joaquin sends me this video last night, and it's okay. I don't know how to describe her other than this frumpy white lady walking into a police station, I guess at the front desk, with just like kind of casually waving around a handgun. Just starts banging on the glass with the handgun, like stupid to begin with.
Finger in the trigger well the whole time, from what I can see.
Finger on the trigger, banging the gun on the glass. You can't tell what she's saying because the beginning of the video is muted. And like they're like trying to get attention. And my favorite part is she just casually walks over and like puts the gun down. Oh, did she fire shots beforehand?
Down. She randomly fired shots between what she was saying into the air.
Oh yeah, she's just firing shots in a police station lobby. Nobody's at the window. Nobody, like, doesn't look like there's any officers or any employees visible. She's just randomly firing it into the air, and then she's like, "Let me take a minute and put the gun down. I'm gonna take my sweatshirt off. I'm a little hot.
Drink some water.
Drink some water." And I'm like, "You just walked into a police station and started firing a handgun there, and then you put it down? Like, why did she put it down?" And then you get the perspective of the police officers that are in like an adjoining room with the door closed, and they're like, "Is this bulletproof?" And they just start taking shots trying to shoot through the glass door, which we didn't notice until later.
Yeah.
And then they all storm in and just tase this bitch.
Like I swear in the video they go,
"So good.
She put the gun down. Yeah. Get her.
They do.
Tase her ass.
They do. Yeah, that's exactly.
And they all
put it down. They're like, "All right, here's our chance."
Rush in. Like, I've never seen real life human beings look like water. You know, like in cartoons when there's like a flood of rats,
it's like,
and it looks like water. That's what those
World War
cops
Z
look like.
Like the zombie piles.
When the zombies pile in, it looks just like that, but all cops.
And Joaquin pointed out to me, like, they didn't even try to shoot her. And then we did notice they did try to fire a couple shots. We don't know if they were trying to shoot at her though, or if they were shooting just trying to see if the glass was bulletproof.
I don't know if it was something she shot. Like, again, since there's no sound, it makes it a little harder.
Yeah. They don't put the sound on until the very end when they're going in.
And him asking if the glass was bulletproof, the way I thought was happening was that he was like in there going, "Can she shoot us?"
No, I did too.
Because she's randomly shooting around.
Well, that because in the initial part, when they say that, they're still showing from her point of view. At the very end of the video, they have the point of view in the room where the police officers are, and he says that, and then he takes a couple shots at the glass. And I don't know if he was shooting at her or trying to see if the glass was bulletproof or what, but it's just like fucking crazy. And as to your point, if like pretty much anybody, especially if it was a black guy, but I think even maybe possibly a white guy, anybody else.
If it was a guy, okay, let's be honest. If it was a guy, I don't care what race the guy was, he would have been dead.
Yeah,
dead.
They would just open fire. Would have opened fire.
If it was a male child, they would have fucking killed the kid. Like, the kid would have been dead.
Yeah, I really wish I could hear what she was saying. The male would have been dead. And like, hold on, we may be completely in the wrong. She may have been mentally disturbed or ill, and we're just making fun of a woman. But I don't know. So it's Schrodinger's cat, in my opinion. So for me, she's just some crazy bitch.
Yeah. That's it. But until we get more information, which I don't care if we do or do not get.
Me neither.
This is the perspective we have.
Well,
I'm not apologizing. There's no apologizing.
I don't want more information because I just want to think some fucking crazy bitch walked into a police station with a gun.
I don't need to feel bad about a situation I'm laughing about.
Yeah, I just want to imagine that that's what happened, and she got tased, and she's like, "Oh," she's getting tased. It's so satisfying.
The comedian I was watching who brought it up, who's a really good comedian, by the way, he said he likes to think that since white women are just so super helpful to the cops all the goddamn time,
are they?
That she was just like, I found this gun. Guys, are you listening to me? Bah! Oh my god! Like, just being like this.
Oh, there you go. Somebody should do a voiceover.
like that to me is such a funny perspective. Like, he was telling the joke, and I gotta see this video before I hear the rest of this bit.
Yeah, you got all the perspective makes it better. I'm
sure. I paused his video, watched the video, and was like, yeah, his name is Josh Johnson, by the way. Really great comedian.
I didn't watch the bit, so I'll have to watch that.
Yeah, his bit is really good on it. He also had a bit about because Jada Pinkett Smith is back in the fucking news because she just can't
Well,
leave anything
what is it?
alone.
She put out a book or a memoir? Is that what she did?
No. I don't know if she did, but I know she's doing a bunch of fucking interviews and embarrassing the shit out of Wilmore.
Yeah, I thought she put out a memoir.
Which
something
you know what?
She just did.
Fuck everybody who defended Will then, and everybody's defending him now because she's saying they haven't been married for 6 years.
Right, I heard that.
So everything like people going, they're couples goals and bullshit, and he was protecting his woman. That's why he slept Chris Rock. Apparently he wasn't. If they were fucking divorced or separated for that whole time.
Well, now it makes it seem
the cheating. The fucking cheating.
Yeah, well,
they're such. The thing is, the Smiths are such fucking liars. That is fucking amazing. I don't like any of them. I went from loving to hating Will Smith, not because he smacked Chris Rock, but because he can't give up his lie, and he's destroying himself in front of everybody and is okay with it.
I feel like they're. I mean, I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but I feel like that's not uncommon when people are in the spotlight, where they just try to hold on to these ideals that they think they have or people have about them, and they just fucking fall apart, and it gets worse.
But my thing is,
worse.
That pretty much tells you a lot about that false humbleness he has, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I already knew that shit was fake when you watch their two kids. Just like, okay, because they're not only making a mockery of gender identity by changing their genders every 2 fucking seconds.
Yeah, they are.
Or making some fucking fake crypto coin bullshit. And once you dip in the crypto coin, fuck you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because that's just a predatory market. 100%.
At this point with crypto, I feel that Bitcoin and Ethereum are the only legitimate ways to go, and everything else is just going to be a fucking joke.
Yeah. After Dogecoin, it was over.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't trust. I'm never going to trust anything else at this point. There's just no way.
But I've been having this quote going in my head that like everybody around like before the crash of the Smiths, or because they have a show out called The Fall of the House of Usher, and I just think Fall of the House of Smith.
I've heard of that, yeah.
Where everyone thought Will Smith was Superman. So Jada, since she wanted attention, was like, well, fuck it. I'm going to become Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
And she just went bald and started fucking up Will Smith's life.
I think you're right. That's a pretty good analogy.
And she's just like, I used to love Jada Pinkett, like Low Down Dirty Shame, one of my favorite movies.
Oh yeah, she was great.
I fucking loved her in that. I loved it when she was in Gotham. I thought she's a great actress. I never thought she was successful. She was like C-list at best. She deserved higher, in my opinion, based on her talent. But I think she might have been this commanding, terrible bitch all along. And that's what fucked her career.
You never really know.
Connected herself to Will Smith. No, this is just my conspiracy theory since everybody's throwing the shit in the ring here.
No, sure.
And she put it out there. She put all the shit out there she didn't need to. They said bad couple for life on her stupid fucking show. I thought they were divorced. How are you a fucking couple?
Because they got to make that money, man. They got to make the money, keep up the image, keep people interested. I don't know.
Yeah, just
doesn't Caitlyn Jenner still live with Kris Jenner and the rest of the family?
They're a cult.
Or are they still married? Like I thought I read like that
they are a cult.
Yeah, they're definitely a cult. But
it's just they are connected to this weird church that they've been connected to for years, and that church is connected to their businesses.
Ooh, I don't like that.
There's a documentary on it. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, send it to me because that's terrifying.
They've been connected to it for years, and that's kept them in power for fucking years.
Dude, again, we talked about it. Well, I don't want to get into what everything is going on over in the Middle East right now, but like more than ever, I just keep thinking about, God damn, does religion just totally fuck shit up sometimes?
Absolutely.
And again, I've said it before. Like, I understand it helps a lot of people, but if you murder people in the name of a god, you're a fucking moron. Period. That's
It
all there
helps
is to
people
it.
on an individual level.
On an individual
And that's where you
level,
should
sure.
fucking keep it. Have
That's
a
where it should
personal religion, a personal relationship with whatever God you want to have, and fucking leave everyone else alone.
Yeah,
I'm not saying everyone else is atheist or whatever.
Sure.
Everyone should do that.
Yeah.
Everybody
agreed.
should fucking
These
do that.
institutionalized religions in any shape or form, whether it's the ones that have been around for thousands of years or the more recent ones like Scientology, just fuck shit up and make bad things happen. Period.
Yep.
It's just a fuck. It's
and
ridiculous.
They excuse it all along. They excuse it the whole way down, and they're like, "Well, I'm going to heaven." Just well, fuck you. Heaven's not worth. I'm sorry, your God's not worth. Is not worth praising if they're gonna do the shit that they allow you to fucking do.
It just makes me so
and if
sad.
They're okay with it
to see people just like fucking murder each other because they're like this like because of again I don't get to it. But
God doesn't like you to abort babies, so I want to kill everybody in this hospital.
This land is holy, so I'm going to kill everybody else that wants it. Like it's just crazy. It just blows my fucking mind. Like it's sad. It's so sad. It's so sad to me that the fact that human beings have the capacity to be brainwashed in that man, and it goes for like all kinds of things, not just religion, but the fact that our brains can be contorted in that manner. Dude, I had to stop myself a couple weeks ago because my YouTube algorithm was getting really fucking conservative and fucking right wing, and I started thinking like I started watching. I'd be watching the video and be like, yeah, and then I was like, man, I have to stop. I was like, wait a minute.
Maybe my friend Joaquin is a lip cup nigga.
No, but seriously, like, a video.
Man, we're gonna get in trouble. I keep saying that word like you're not gonna get in trouble.
No, but a video would come up in my feed and like they'd say something stupidish, and I'd be like, "Oh, I kind of understand that," and I was just like, "This shit is actually fucking changing my brain."
I've said it earlier in our episodes. If you listen to something enough fucking times, you will fucking believe it.
You do. It's
no matter how stupid it is.
I had to stop I couldn't believe that I had to stop myself. Be like, "Oh my god, I'm actually starting to buy into some of this stuff."
Just so you know, I would have called you out on it.
No, I know you would have, and I'm glad. I'm glad I've got the backup.
I hope you would do the same for me if I would.
I would. I'm glad I've got the backup. It's just
like that.
The like acknowledgement that like, oh, that shit started. I started seeing the same message so many times in quick 15-second short videos that I started going, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. And I was like, wait, no, that doesn't fucking make sense. That doesn't make sense.
You stop questioning it.
I've just seen it 30
too much
times.
to think about it.
It's bad. It's so fucking terrifying. And
God,
like I don't know the solution. Like you can't get rid of social media at this point.
I'll be honest. I had a really bad breakup, and essentially my girlfriend cheated on me with the guy that hooked us up.
Okay, that's always
so that was just really like you lose your friend and you lose.
I have gone through that before.
It's so fucking weird.
I've gone through similar.
Really like. I find myself due to that. I had a really bad period of time around that, and I can easily say that I sympathize with people who are like incels and red pill really badly to the point that like
you can see how they get there.
I could see exactly where they get there.
Right. Yep.
And like, God, I don't know how to necessarily help that because I agree to a point. And then I have to break myself of that. Like, no, I don't because I'm just feeling bad for myself. I'm pitying myself.
Absolutely.
And that's the major problem.
Well, but at least
is that they're self-pitying.
I'm glad that the two of us
and that was my problem.
Well, I'm glad the two of us have the self-awareness to realize it. To be like, okay, no, we're thinking irrationally right now. We're just buying into something because of some
emotional, or
in your case,
you're going through some stuff.
Yeah,
so.
In your case, it was emotional. In my case, it was repetition. Because I've been marketing a long time. Repetition is a huge part of it. It's one of the big things. Repetition. Anyway, so
here's the crazy thing: negativity easily feeds that faster than positivity. Positivity people are most skeptical of. So I'm jealous of people who can like hear a positive message and just fucking like have that shit affirm them to the point that they're successful or doing good or feeling happy.
All right, well,
like smile every day, even if you feel bad. That'll help you out. I can't fucking do that.
No, me neither. What? My face was hurt.
I find that draining.
Me too. I was talking to well, I'll get into this part later, but I was talking to a cousin of mine, second cousin, I guess, my dad's cousin's daughter. I think that's my second cousin. And we were just kind of chit chatting, and she was talking to me about, I don't know, we were talking about a bunch of bullshit, but she was telling me that one of our local, the high school her kids go to, which it's crazy to think about. She's younger than me, and she's got, I think, a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old maybe. It's crazy. Anyway,
got preggers early.
Yeah, she did. But she was telling me, first she was telling me that they started a girls wrestling team. And I was like, oh, cool. That's awesome. In fact, I just got a thing for our school district that they're starting a girls wrestling team. And I was like, that's awesome. That's great. Cool.
Oh, I got that too.
Yeah. One of the things with women's sports,
my daughter was like, I want to do it. I'm like,
oh yeah.
Okay.
My daughter was like, I'd probably get hurt.
Well, that's the thing. I don't want her to do it because my daughter's just gonna complain when she gets hurt.
Yeah, but I was like, oh, that's awesome. That's really good that they have that. I was like, I remember, sometimes if there was a young girl that wanted to wrestle, they'd actually just wrestle with the boys' team.
Yeah,
which was fine. Like that's fine if you're consenting to that. I think that's whatever, But then she's like, also. The quarterback for the football team is a girl too, and she's probably going to be homecoming queen or prom queen or something too.
Wow. And
I just was like, wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah, how's she not built like a brick shit house?
Well, but I'm just like that. I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think it's good for a woman to be the quarterback on congratulations, you also can get CTE now, first off. Women now have equal access to CTE, but then I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, what about the guys on the other team, like the defense players? Like, they're going to want to fucking crush this woman that's out there on the field. Like,
I mean, it depends, because I know taking the mentality of like that sport,
yeah, football's fucking stupid.
Like when I went into high school, I did. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I hate football. Football's fucking stupid. I don't like it. Let me get that out there first.
Yeah, when I did football in high school, like there were very few like hyper aggressive guys. Like,
yeah,
we did our shit when we played football. I was a lineman, so I was like right there to get my head smashed in, but. Like none of us were hyper aggressive.
Yeah, but how long
you do
ago?
Your job, you take them out.
It was like 20 years ago, right?
What I'm saying is we were more aggressive back then.
You think so?
Then I think so.
You don't think guys have got more hyper aggressive and competitive?
Not really. Not until it's professional. And with professionalism, I mean, unfortunately, they have to push the steroid. That in college, they have to push steroid. They push steroids. They have to like go for their slave master. I mean, team owner. They have to do those things. Well, old racist guy that lives in big house. That's all of them.
I shouldn't really talk about this. I never was into school sports. The closest I ever got was being in the marching band during football games. And I hated the fact that I had to go sit through the football game to do it.
During high school, except for maybe I would think senior year, but that's the stereotype. Football, even though it is an aggressive sport, I don't think it's usually overdone to that degree unless you have like a really bad parent. And I literally mean that, like come on, you gotta do it. Like fuck those.
That's I added that to our list of. I mean, we have a list of like 60 topics. Eventually, I added that to the list not that long ago. I forget what I said, but yeah, essentially overly aggressive school sports parents or kids sports parents.
Fuck them.
Yeah, we're gonna get into them one day because those are they're a whole fucking bucket of fun. I don't know. I was just like, I don't know if this is good. I don't want to get into the whole debate about transgender sports.
No, I don't care.
I don't want to get into the debate of women being treated more equally or equitably in sports because there's a lot to say about both of those. But just the idea of a teenage girl being on a men's football team and playing in a men's football league, it seems a little weird to me. That's it.
Here's
you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe she's like built like a bricklayer. Maybe she's like just fucking huge.
In my take on this then. I feel like they should be able to do it after time thinking about it, because I'm going to contradict myself from the past. The way I feel about it right now, let them do it. Let women do all the sports with guys. Let trans people do all the sports with guys, and see how injury records show for everybody across the board.
I guess.
No, because we're just going to argue what ifs
right.
until it fucking happens.
You're right.
So let it fucking happen. And then we go, Okay.
Look what happened.
Well, science
Yeah.
shows that there is and or there isn't a difference between men and women in this regard.
Sure.
So let them play, or let's
As
go
far
back
as
to separate.
as far as
There's
injuries
just
go,
yeah, because that's what everybody's biggest injuries, whatever the arguments are, we can see them in 10 years time,
well, I mean,
and then go, okay, this is what we're not going to do.
Well,
Fucking experiment.
yeah, but some of the arguments,
Russia's doing it with their MMA shit.
some of the arguments that you kind of like, they already have, like they could show, like, okay, this formerly mediocre male swimmer is now a trans woman and just blew away all the records.
And
weightlifting,
for some
like,
reason,
so
we're
stuff
still
like that's
arguing the
happened.
point. And we're still arguing the point.
We are still arguing the part. My whole stance was like, why not just make it all co-ed, right?
Yeah.
And then here are the winners. And then you can decide for yourself who is the best woman and who's the best man. If you want it to be the trans woman in your head, fine, then it's the trans woman. If you want it to be the cis woman in your head, then fine, it's the cis woman. Just say, here are the best records. That's it. And everybody's the same.
Get past the point where we give a shit about people's genitals. I am just
that's what I'm saying. Like, just
so
make it all co-ed.
Tired
for
everyone's
for competitive individual sports.
Mattering.
I guess team sports is different. I mean, to your point, like, see, the reason I think about it is, like I said, like, the other team then has maybe a disadvantage because they're more hesitant to fucking tackle to the ground and kill this woman quarterback. Like, so that's the way I'm thinking of it. Like, maybe that's a disadvantage for the other team now. And other things, like where it's one-on-one, if a dude wants to fight a woman in MMA, go at it. Like, as long as you both been set to the fight, go ahead, beat the shit out of each other. If you get your neck broken, you get your neck broken. Like, that's fine.
Yep. That's part of the job.
Yeah.
If you want to fucking do it that fucking bad, then fucking do it.
Yeah. I mean,
that's it.
And then in other sports, I don't know how it would work. Like, I love women's hockey. They're starting the I'm gonna get the name, PWHL, I think it's called. There's a women's hockey league starting in January, I believe, with 6 teams. And I'm really excited about it. Women's hockey is great. They don't check as much, but it's still hockey. It's fast paced. It's fun. It's awesome plays. They're a little rough, but they're not as aggressive as the men's teams are with checking and trying to kill each other. But it's still hockey. It's not, that's not everything I love about hockey.
I mean, like in those giant big ass Roblox jerseys anyway, that you can't tell, so it doesn't really matter.
But I enjoy women's. I anytime it's Olympic hockey or they do the Women's World Cup of hockey, I love watching it. So I'm really glad they're starting a women's league, and I'm going to watch it and support it because I like hockey. You know
what? I'm surprised a women's league hasn't existed.
Me neither. There are women's leagues.
I mean, I'm sure
Canada.
Women played.
There's amateur women's leagues in Canada, and there may be some in the United States, but this is like supposed to be like the equivalent of the WNBA.
And why can't we have men's softball and women's softball and women's baseball and men's baseball? Because I'm sorry, I just don't see why softball even exists, but people apparently did their whole lives with it.
I don't know.
We can't just get rid of the sport.
I don't know. It's tough, like, because you look at things like the WNBA and it's not nearly as successful as the NBA, and it's like, why? And it's like, well, people aren't supporting it. And I mean, that's just, you did the test and it didn't work. Like, who can you blame for that? You can't blame misogyny or like, because it's not like a bunch of women are going out and supporting it.
Like, put money behind it and it didn't succeed.
Right.
I would like unisex basketball. Basketball seems like one of those sports that would just be fine either way.
It seems like it. Yeah.
They're
it seems
all
like it wouldn't
tall
matter.
stick monsters. So let them all fucking play.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see why that needs to be
but I feel the same way about fucking baseball.
But
baseball wasn't a sport that made sense to me to use steroids in. So
I agree with you there too. Because again, if you want to people would argue that women don't have the same level of power as men to hit the ball harder, but like a lot of
they could hit home runs the same.
But I'm just saying that's the argument people
have.
No,
I'm not you specifically.
Even against that argument, like baseball's not all hitting home runs. Like some of it's just good hitting in the right situation, putting the ball in the right place. So I don't know.
Teamwork.
How did we get into this whole debate? Oh, because I brought up the woman quarterback, girl quarterback.
Well, I'm going to break us out of it. Yesterday I took my daughter to therapy, and my son came with me.
Okay.
And he had taken a bath earlier because unfortunately he's been sick. And he tried to be a little man about it and tough out not throwing up. So he didn't tell me, and he threw up in my car.
Rough.
So
That's it's the worst.
I was
So,
just trying
anywhere
to do
else is
so
better.
much. Yeah, I was trying to do so much that before bed he never got to take a bath, so I gave him a bath the next day.
Yeah.
His hair was wet, so I put his hair in a ponytail because now it's long enough to be put in a ponytail.
Sure, yeah.
We're sitting in the lobby, and we finally get seats because they're redoing stuff. And this guy comes in, and my son, who was sitting next to me, is now leaning on my arm playing on his tablet.
Okay.
And
God,
the guy
I hate where
walks
this
up.
might be going.
He looks around. He goes, "Is your daughter sitting there?" Well, my son is sitting there, yes. But yeah, I go to look at my son. I go, "Are you sitting there?" He goes, "No." But the guy already, I guess, got embarrassed that I corrected him.
Yeah.
But I did it like it was just like my son is sitting there.
Yeah, you were being an asshole. You weren't like, well, it's actually my son. That you were just like, no, it's my son sitting there. Yeah.
And one, I looked at my son. I was like, I like it when he wears a ponytail, but every time I do it, and I forgot, everyone thinks he's a girl.
I don't see. Okay.
Every time I put his hair in a ponytail.
Hot take. I don't know if people yell at me. I certainly think that. Again, there's people that are hard to tell, but there's definitely people that have masculine features and feminine features.
Yeah. When he was a baby, I understood that, but it's been like anytime I put his hair in a ponytail.
I don't see that at all.
In my head, it was just like,
to me, your son's face is a little boy's face.
Yeah, my son being called a girl didn't care. He wasn't even really paying attention.
No, it wouldn't bother me either.
I didn't care, but I didn't want to like he's still like my son. That's part of who he is. So sure. I'm going to call him that.
Yeah.
But I was just like, man, that wasn't hard to correct someone's gender and them not really like make a big deal of it.
Because he's not. If he was a trans kid and was then it would be a big deal. People make a big fucking deal about it.
I kind of wish I could have asked the guy, but it would have made things more awkward. It's like, do you think that my son is actually like a trans child because I corrected you? Because no, he is like
he's actually
assigned male at birth.
Oh, don't say the wrong thing. Don't say the wrong thing.
Yeah, at this point in his life,
he has a dick.
And I don't know if you think I'm just like that weird hyper progressive parent.
Yeah, right.
It's like,
doesn't that suck though? Doesn't that suck so bad that's the thing that goes through your head?
That they're feels like they're a goddess fairy today, so I'm gonna call her today.
I hate that. That's
in about an hour
head,
he might be he or a shim. Or like I'm not necessarily making fun of the pronouns, but I am making fun of those people.
Yes, I am absolutely making fun of those people. Fuck those people.
Because there is still a very fine line in promoting delusion. There's such a fine line.
Absolutely.
And delusion is a thing. And children are delusional as shit.
Oh, all right. Let's get into this. Let's get into this.
Is their game. Let's go.
We've kind of tapped on it a couple times on the podcast, but yeah. Okay. So here's the big thing. I hate fucking quoting Tim Pool. I fucking hate quoting Tim Pool.
You have been really quoting Tim Pool.
Well, because I kind of hate listening to him a little bit.
You're gonna really fall in love with him. You're gonna brainwash yourself and fall in love with him.
I really don't like him. Like I every time I listen to his podcast, I'm just like, you're so fucking. I was listening to one the other day where he's like, he was, how did it go? He was shitting on people about like doing, having to pay doing things that they don't want to like necessarily do to pay their rent. Like you got to do this to pay your rent, and then like he like lived with his brother when he started out. I'm like, dude, you were mooching off your, I forget the context, but it was essentially, he was like shitting on people for having like, you have to go out and do whatever you got to do to earn your living. And
much ignoring where he came from. Ignoring the fact that preach this.
Like, bro, you didn't do that. You lived on your brother's couch before you got got your start. Like you were mooching off your brother.
You're so thankful that people were watching his show.
You didn't go out and
humble
hustle,
until now.
Anyway,
like, fuck you.
But the argument he always brings up with this, and again, I haven't fact checked it, so maybe, but he always talks about like, okay, it's something like 95% of kids that transition are okay. Like a few years later, are still in that transition, but he always maybe it's not that high. It's a relatively high number, but he always brings up that if you don't do anything, if you don't intercede, they'll grow out of it like 90+% of the time. Like they'll just grow
I would
out of
wonder
it.
where he would get that that statistic.
I don't know,
honestly.
and I got to look it up. But every time I hear that, I'm like, that's like a really okay. So like if that's true, that's a good argument for not intervening. You know, like it's
Yeah.
great that when you intervene, a lot of times it works out okay. But if you don't intervene, and most of the time it works out okay too, then maybe that's okay too. Like, so I don't know. I mean, like you said,
See,
it's
I'm
so
more
hard.
in the line of having an open dialogue as opposed to
Well,
making rash
exactly.
surgical and
It has to
chemical
be. It has to be
decisions
case by
before you're
case,
an adult.
right? Like
Yeah,
these people that just
that's
make
just how I
blanket
feel.
statements are just like, this is the way it needs to be,
It
regardless.
might not work for you.
Right?
It might not work for me.
The
Like,
people that go,
yeah.
no, you can't do anything ever, and then the people that go, no, you absolutely have to do this, 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 and this to affirm things. You
Yeah.
can't blanket statement that. You just can't.
And-
Kids are fucking different.
And fuck people who want to advocate for my child without fucking knowing anything about them.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
to push whatever they fucking believe.
Yes. Don't fucking
Fuck
tell
you.
me what to do with my fucking kids. You have to.
And
because
I'm not saying that as my kids being property either.
No,
This is-
absolutely not. It's just, but you know your kids better than anyone else.
I've sacrificed my life for them.
Right.
Willingly.
Sure.
Fuck you who've put nothing into my children.
Yeah.
Telling me exactly how to fucking raise them.
Yeah. No, it's.
I'll say that to their own fucking grandparents if I have to.
I've done
and
that.
they've given more than those fucking people have.
I've had to do that before. No, that
they can
applies
suck
to
the longest, veiniest, dirtiest dick.
Well, we've done an episode on. Did we do an episode on helicopter parents or something like that? Didn't we?
Something similar.
What the fuck did we do with? I thought we did. Oh, we did parental best friends forever. Maybe we didn't do helicopter parents. That's on the list too. I know somewhere helicopter parents. So we'll get to that at some point in our lifetime. But yeah, I just I can't stand that shit. Telling anybody what they should be doing. You have to assume that a parent has their child's best interest at heart, because if we don't assume that, then the world is an evil, horrible place. If we assume the opposite, then I don't want to be in this world. Right?
Speaking of people telling other people what to do or how to live or how to feel anything, let's go to our topic. I know you usually do this.
No, I'm not ready yet.
We're almost an hour in.
But I'm not ready yet. All right, one more thing.
Fine. What do you want?
I have one more thing I have to bitch about.
You know I'm going to snowball into something.
This is one more thing I have to bitch about. Just one more thing. So, okay. Well, first off, I've been trying to lose weight. I'm doing pretty good. You know how I measure how I'm doing?
How?
This is how I decide how well I'm doing. If I look straight down, how much of my dick I can see.
How you can see?
Past my belly. So the more I'm seeing more as time goes on. So I know I'm doing okay.
Without hunching forward.
So
like straightening your back and looking straight down.
Right. I'm like, okay. Oh, I see more. I'm doing well. Okay.
It's like a horizon.
It is. It's like the sun's rising. My balls and dick are rising over my butt. All right, here's my bitch. I decided to treat myself and get a pizza like last week. And I called the pizza place, and I'm the only one that likes pepperoni, right? So I order a large pie, and I go, can you just put pepperoni on 2 of the slices? Because I wanted pepperoni. I was like, I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to get pepperoni. And she's like, the woman on the phone goes, hold on a second. She puts me on hold. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And she comes back, and she goes, no, I'm sorry, we can't do that. And I went, when you're making the pizza, you can't put pepperonis on a quarter of the pizza. And she's like, no, I'm sorry, that's not possible. And I went, my brain just melted. I went, what? When
you look at a pizza, when somebody says they want half pepperoni and half cheese?
Yes.
Well, you see that half, and then you half that half, and that's the part that I want pepperoni on.
I didn't go into that much detail. I just went, when they're making the pizza, they put the cheese on. You're telling me they can't only put pepperoni on a quarter of the pizza? And she was like, no, it's not possible. And I went, okay, bye. And I hung up. And then I called another pizza place. And I asked them. And they go, okay, hold on a second. They put me on hold. And she comes back and she goes, no, we can't do that. And I went, do you mean you physically can't put pepperoni on 2 of the slices? And she's like, well, no, it's just like our computer. And I was like, oh.
I'll do it. Do it.
Yeah. I said, do you mean your billing system? Like when you punch it in, it doesn't have that option? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, can you put half and charge me for half, and then just tell the person making the pizza to only put it on a quarter? And she's like, oh yeah, I can do that.
It's like, fuck.
That's what I said. Like, I
knew exactly what that was.
I hung up the
Like,
phone
it's
and I went, yeah, it took me. I hung up the phone and I went, fuck! Why? Why is this so hard for people to use brains? Holy fucking shit.
You have to see Dennis Takes a Vacation on the newest season.
I did. That's Dennis Takes a Mental Health Day is on my list of things I wanted to talk about.
Mental Health Day. That's what it is.
It was on the bottom because I was like, it's not the most important. That episode was, the whole time we watched it, my wife just kept going, this is you. This is you.
Yes.
This is you. This is you. Everything that happened, she's like, that's what you would do. That's exactly what you would do. That episode was fucking fantastic. I loved it. It was
every Dennis freak out episode is mwah.
Everything that happened that episode was like, this is my life. This is everything that happens in my life. This is how I feel. With people just not understanding how to do simple things and using their brain to think and problem solve. Anyway, okay, that's it. That's all. You want to snowball off on that or anything? Or we good?
All I have to say is, you all cowards don't even smoke crack.
Y'all don't smoke no crack.
It's time to begin the complaining.
Go look that up on YouTube.
No, and don't go by what he said. It's not called y'all cowards.
No,
it's you'll cowards. don't even smoke crack.
Yeah.
By Viper.
All right, our topic today that we're going to get into here is amateur grief counselors. Amateur grief counselors. And not to get too heavy, but my grandmother passed away on Sunday. And all's good, you know. She lived a long, good life. She was 90 years old. We had a lot of time, knew it was coming. She's been sick for a while. She's been in a nursing home for a while. But the people at the hospital, God, and I hope none of them end up listening to this. They probably won't. You know what? I don't care. Drove me fucking nuts. They just, oh my God, they pissed me off. I went to the hospital the Wednesday before she passed to say goodbye. And I couldn't, it was good. Like the way we left things good, and I was really happy with it. And I was like, you know what? That's it. I'm not going to go back the next day or two. Maybe it was whatever day it was, Thursday, Wednesday. It's like, I'm not going to go back. It was Thursday. I'm not going to go back Friday or Saturday. I like the way we left things. But I went to the hospital, and I went with my brother. And as we're walking in, he's telling me about a cousin and two cousins that were there the night before. And he was like, dude, they were fucking... So this is going to involve a little more than just a grief counselor. This is just people in general around this situation that would drive me crazy. He's like, we're at the hospital. And he's like, they were like holding their hand and then taking a picture of it. And then like taking pictures of their visitor badges and stuff. And I got so fucking mad because you know why they did that, right? They're going to post it on social media.
Yeah, to post online to get
sympathy. And these are people,
strangers.
These aren't, they're not regulars they weren't regulars in my grandmother's life. They they saw once in a while, but I don't think my grandmother had a whole hell of a lot of contact or relationship with them for the last, I don't know, at least 10 years I can recall. Like she didn't see him a whole lot.
Yeah, nice of you to show up just to show that your priorities were just fucked.
Yeah, dude, that's another thing I hate. And I get it. People get busy in life and things happen, but the people that come at the end to be like, oh, hey, I'm like, come on. Like, yeah. You could have put the effort in.
Uncle that shows up to the fucking family reunion to eat the fucking food,
eat the food,
and then leave. Like that's who you are to somebody's somebody's death.
Right. But the idea of, and I've seen people do this. I've seen people post pictures on Facebook of them like holding the hand of their dying somebody. And I didn't, you know what? I haven't posted anything on social media. You know why? Because my grief is my grief. I don't need to put it on fucking social media to have a bunch of people posting about it and saying they're sorry and getting sympathy from a bunch of fucking semi-strangers online. It's none of their fucking business. I hate the fact that people post that shit online. But the fact that they did that, and I knew you're going to fucking post that somewhere, drove me motherfucking
So like even
crazy.
when if you see it, I can imagine like that's
I'm gonna.
it just hurts.
It hurts so
It's
bad.
personal and it fucking hurts. Like look, even to take the picture, like okay, so in the Army I was a photographer, so I've been a photographer for a really long time.
Sure.
It's kind of half the reason why I don't do it as much now, because it takes you away from the moment you're in, especially if you are part of the moment.
Dude, I have this argument
And-
all the time with my wife. Like when we're like at Disney World or the kids are doing something, I'm like, put your phone away. Like, can't we just anytime we're in any birthday parties, everybody's got their phone out. Like, can't we just enjoy the party? I hate the idea of taking photos and videos and shit like that, because I prefer, when I think back to something that was good in my life that happened, I want to remember it in my head the way I experienced it. I want to smell the smells and feel how the sun felt on the beach, whatever it is. I want to imagine it in my head. I don't want to look at a picture and be like, "Oh, that's how it happened." I want the
See,
memory.
For me, like, it's weird because, like, I get it. Because, like, on birthdays, I take out the phone when they're singing happy birthday.
I know.
And there's once in a while, but there's people who are just doing it.
Right.
But a death is something very different.
It is very different.
See, part of my job when I was in the military was to take pictures of, to take death photos. I think I've mentioned it earlier in an episode. So I have, like, a weird photography death feeling. And, I also took pictures during combat.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Yeah, right. So
That's some heavy shit.
When people do that, I feel extra upset about it.
Right.
Because you may think that, I'm just preserving this, but you're not, because you're announcing it to me, which to me, I mean, expresses to me that you are missing a large part of your soul, and it's not the person who passed.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the way I see it. I know it's all perspective. I mean, not to each your own, blah, 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 blah. Fuck you. This is the way it looks. I don't understand how no one else sees that.
Yeah, me neither. It blows my mind. But just like the prostituting of my dying grandmother to get sympathy on social media. Just, oh, dude, it hurts so. And then, of course, we walk in the hospital room and they were there. They're still there. And then they drove me crazy with the infantilization stuff. Like treating her like she's a baby. She's 90 years old. She's lived a long life.
She's just
her faculties
dying.
are there. She's just dying. She wasn't like, she didn't have dementia.
The body is giving up. The mind is there.
Yeah, she did not know where she was. Like treating like, you okay? Do you need a new pill? You need a pill? You need a little juicy? She actually said that. You need a little more juicy? I can't believe I didn't say anything, because you know me. I'm typically the type that would just be like,
I think you were still
doing?
dealing with your grief.
I'm sure I was, but
because I mean,
just
when you texted me, you were questioning like how you felt about a certain situation.
Yes.
So I think you were more contemplative than normal.
Yes, I definitely
probably why
was.
You didn't.
But like that shit was driving me crazy too. It's like, it's a dying woman. It's not a baby, It's like, treat her with some dignity and respect, and don't treat her like she's a dying woman. Don't remind her by sitting there and acting like you're dealing with a a decrepit person.
She fucking knows.
She knows. And again, she wasn't. I was fortunate. I guess the night before I visited, she was in really bad shape, having trouble breathing. They had started giving her the good drugs by then, so she was a lot more comfortable. Seemed like herself to a pretty good degree. She slept a lot, but because she's taking fucking fentanyl and Ativan. But otherwise, when she was awake, she was herself. But like that drove me nuts. To like just the infant, like checking on, like, and constantly, asking doctors like, her lips are chapped. Can you get? I'm like, she'll tell you. She's a grown woman. She'll tell you what's bothering her. Okay. So that shit was really.
She hasn't been an invalid, like
no, she
at any point,
right?
I think when we brought her up before, like you said that she's not.
Yeah, essentially what happened was, she had really low blood count for her white blood cell numbers. They were really bad. She was getting transfusions she was getting these injections. They helped for years. Then she was getting transfusions, and they helped for a year or so, and then they just stopped working. And then basically she went to the hospital. She had too much fluid, and it had evolved into leukemia, and she had a blood infection. That was like when they're like, okay, that's it. There's nothing else to do. She's got a few more days, maybe, and that's it. We know what's going on.
She's dying,
but she's fine. Like, I mean, she's not fine. She's obviously suffering, but she's not. She's not invalid.
Yeah, if I'm in hospice and I have all my faculties, just give put a video game in front of me and let me just fucking go
dude,
playing fucking Mario. I don't give a shit.
Just the whole situation, I just watch it. I'm just like, I just let a bus hit me when I get to a certain age. If I start, I don't ever want to get to the point where I'm losing anything. Like, I don't want to ever need help with anything. I just don't. Anyway, the thing that really got to me was, and I want to preface this by saying this is a cousin of the family. She's a sweet, wonderful human being. She's a good person. She's not a bad person, and it's not her. I don't want to call this out and make it seem like I think she sucks and I hate her. She's a great person. She's a person that's been coming to visit my grandmother for a while, especially when she went into the nursing home. So nothing against her. She's sweet, but she drove me fucking nuts with essentially kind of trying to tell me how to process my grief when it came down to it. She asked me at one point if I had ever lost anybody close to me, like that close. Yeah. And I didn't go into the details, but I said, yeah, my grandfather, my paternal grandfather passed away when I was really little. My maternal grandmother is still alive, also getting up there. My maternal grandfather passed away about, 10 years or so ago. So I told her that, and that's all the information she knew. Knew. I didn't tell her the details of my grandfather had dementia, was like his mind was gone for years before he passed away. So by the time he passed away, I had said goodbye years earlier because he just wasn't the same person. I wasn't even going to visit him anymore because he didn't know who I was, and I didn't want that memory. I wanted to remember him with a fucking whiskey in his hand, reading a book and saying some smart ass thing. I didn't want to remember him as this guy who doesn't know where he is. But I didn't tell her that. So she should have known, okay, I've dealt with this before, right? That should have been what she thought. And then she takes out this package of cards, and she's like, I want to do an exercise with you, Aunt Phil. I'm going to take out a card, and it's got a word on it, and I'm going to start, and I'm going to tell you how this word relates to how I feel about you. And like, she did like three, like she took out one that said like wise or something. And she's like, Aunt Phil, you always gave me great advice, and you were so wise when you told me, what to do when I had situations where I wasn't sure. And my grandmother's face was it's a look you'd know well if you knew my grandmother, but it's this look like, the fuck are you doing? Like, what is this fucking shit? Because like, again, like, this is a woman who's laying there. She knows she's dying. Like, you don't have to remind her by like doing this exercise, like where you're telling her about
like, is this for me or for you? Because I'm not even thinking about this anymore.
I know. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? She did like three, and I was there, and my grandmother's sister was there. And we weren't participating. And then my grandmother's sister kind of like interjected because I think she also realized, what the fuck are you doing? But I'm like, this is not how I need to process this. I don't need to sit here and read cards and tell my grandmother. And my grandmother doesn't need that either. She knows me. Yeah. I know her. That's not the relationship, how our relationship works. She knows I love her. She knows I'm thankful for her. We don't need to bring out fucking cards to tell each other, right?
It's kind of funny when somebody tries to become a school teacher to adults. It's again,
funny enough, this cousin is a school teacher.
It's infantilizing. Oh, okay. Because my sister-in-law has that same problem.
Yeah.
Where she and even when it comes to like, unfortunately, she feels emotion in such a strong way that she also starts feeling like she has to then coach everybody on sad situations.
Right.
Like, look, first of all, understand that you haven't figured yourself the fuck out.
No.
So
nobody will ever figure out how to deal with death. Period.
Yes.
Nobody will.
Humans have been around for millions of years.
Yeah.
From what I know. I don't know.
We still don't know fuck all about.
And we don't fucking know
what happens or how to deal with it. We don't know.
We barely know how to deal if boner get hard. Yeah. Like, we don't know anything about ourselves.
There you go.
So as long as we hold an understanding of that, like, I get it. You want to help. And that's the part that makes I think makes me really mad about it, is that I know it's coming from such a good place.
Like I said,
but
she's a sweet
God
person.
Is condescending as shit.
She's a good person. And I know that's it. I know she was trying to help, but I'm just like, you're not. Shut the fuck up.
You're just not. You're not helping.
And then at one point, it was just the two of us with my grandmother. And my grandmother's asleep, and she said, as somebody who's a little older than you and has dealt with, losing important people. And again, I'm like, I told you I lost my grandfather already. So you should know that I've dealt with this before. She's like, I just wanted to tell you, you really should let your grandmother know, how thankful you are for what she's done for you and how she's helped you and what you're thankful for. And I was I was seething. So it's like,
I'm here. I am literally here.
She knows these things already.
Yes.
This isn't some grandmother that I was estranged
It becomes
from.
disingenuous.
It's not.
Again.
Yes, it's disingenuous. She knows all these things. I've told her I love her 1,000 fucking times. I've thanked her for what she's done for me in my life 1,000 fucking times. We know how we feel about each other. I don't need to say her again and remind her of the fact that she's dying by explaining to her, I love you, you did this for me and I'm so thankful for this, and reminding her, oh, he's thanking me because I'm not going to be here in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Drove me fucking nuts. And it was just so, and then she decided to give me, I said I have to go pick up the kids in like 10, 15 minutes. And she was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to give you a little time yourself with your grandmother, which I'm glad I got. I don't actually even know if my brothers got that because there's so many people there in and out. So I had the 10 minutes. I lost my shit as soon as she walked out the door because that was all that was holding me together, was trying to save face and not look honest, like a bitch.
I would have probably laughed if your grandma was just like, yeah, I fucking know, right?
I know. And but she
not
reminded
to make
me
light
again.
of the situation, but just her be like in her deathbed, like,
yeah,
no, she's just being a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
I get it.
But she reminded me again before she walked out of the room, like, yeah, just remember,
just make sure,
just to make sure you know. And I'm like, and that was it. So I just, I lost my shit. My grandmother was asleep, thankfully, which I was glad about. I held her hand, and that's kind of it. She came back. Yeah. I went in the bathroom. I got my shit together. I went to hug her to say goodbye, and she woke up, and I said, I love you, right? And she said, I love you too. And that was it. That was the last things we said to each other. It was perfect. And now I'm going to now I'm going to start fucking getting upset.
I never got to say goodbye to any of my grandparents. So that's amazing.
Yeah. And that's the memory I have. And that's what I'm going to remember. I'm glad I didn't go back when things got really bad, because obviously I'm sure it got much worse the next couple of nights. And it felt good. I was happy with it. And I'm, when I didn't go see my grandfather before he passed away, a lot of people are like, you're going to regret it. You're going to regret it. I don't fucking regret it.
Don't regret it at all.
Not even an inkling, because again, the memory I have of my grandfather in my head is exactly what I want it to be. Oh, worst part. I forgot the worst part.
Oh,
as I'm, after I finished hugging her and, telling her I loved her, she comes up, our cousin comes over, and she's like, would it be okay if I take a picture? And I went, no. We had gone out to dinner maybe a month earlier with my grandmother. We had brought her out to dinner with my father, and the kids came, and we have a picture of my 3 brothers, my 2 kids, and my grandmother, and that's the last picture we have. It's a perfect picture. I don't need the last picture to be in the picture that I remember, or that comes up when I remember my grandmother to be,
of her lying
on her deathbed with me standing there smiling. Like, I just was like, you want to take a picture? You want to take a picture?
There's a famous meme.
And again, sorry, go ahead.
This old woman who looks like she's like pushing 100, if not past 100.
Right.
Dying or dead, while her makeuped up, nails, hair done, beautiful, I want to say daughter or granddaughter, is like kneeling over her. I think she's either praying like next to her dying body or kissing her.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why it's a meme is because not anybody thought that was a good idea.
No, it's just not. I mean, and
because it's not.
I was just going to like end this little thing tirade by saying like, hey, whatever is good for you is good for you. But no, you know what? Some things are just not. They're just not.
No. Look, ultimately, and this is the truth, when somebody passes, and it's not about the person who passed, it's about the family that comes together.
Sure.
To see them on their way to the next, to the afterlife or whatever you want to believe.
Sure. Yeah, agreed.
And a lot of families lose sight of that.
I think you're right.
A lot of them think about themselves, which is the way that feels when taking a picture. Some people don't know how to communicate with their family members, so they do things where they seem disingenuous and like they're trying to be
Right.
supportive, but they don't know how to.
And again,
And
I
maybe
get
they're
that.
trying to ignore their own grief.
It's tough.
And
It's a tough thing to
Yeah.
deal with. It's
And
the
so
hardest thing.
it's a lot to
in life.
navigate.
It's the
Yes.
hardest thing in life
It's
to
an
deal with.
absolute it's an absolute hard thing to navigate, even though I want to say fuck you to people who do that, but
Yeah.
ultimately it's not fuck you as in like I hate you, it's a fuck you but I love you kind of thing. Like
100%.
what you're doing is you may not see it, but it's really stupid. It is really stupid, and
Yeah.
this comes from a selfish place, even though you are trying not to be selfish.
Yeah, what it boils down to for me is, like we said before, let people deal with things in their own way.
Yeah.
Don't be an amateur grief counselor. Don't helicopter in and try to tell somebody how they're supposed to deal with it. Just let them deal with it. You know? Let them deal with it in their own way.
If you want me to give any advice, because I know I do it all the fucking time, even though I don't know what I'm talking about.
That's all we do.
Just physically be there.
Yeah.
Hug them.
Agreed.
If they want to be hugged or touched, hug them. Just let them know you're there. Just letting somebody know you are there.
That's, I think, all that really, really matters when it comes down to
And
it.
that goes for the person who's passing too. Them knowing you're there. My mother and I are estranged, but if she's on her deathbed and I show up, I know it would mean a lot to her. It would mean a lot to me.
Right. Agreed.
But I don't have to say anything.
You don't have to. You shouldn't have to. If you have the relationship that you want, you shouldn't have to say anything. It should be unspoken.
I don't care,
You know?
even if you fucking don't.
That's
if
true,
somebody
too.
didn't see
You're
their
right.
family member for fucking years.
Hey, I'm here
If
now.
they didn't see their family member for years and they showed up because somehow along the grapevine they found out you were dying and they weren't gloating. They're not there to gloat. They're not there to make it about themselves. They are just fucking there for you. That is all that matters.
You know, that's the best fucking advice I think you could possibly give. That is literally all that matters. And that's definitely the most important thing. You know, it's just like my grandmother knew me. I'm not a touchy-feely, super like buttery emotional guy. Will I text you that I love you randomly? Yeah, that's kind of the extent of it. Like that's kind of how I roll. And like,
we show by insults. That's us.
Yeah, exactly. If I don't make fun of you, you're not my friend, basically. That's what it boils down to. Anyway, I guess that's our show. You got anything else you want to add? It's a nice somber way to
just I think just to bring us back out, because I always bring up AI stuff. I feel like I've been playing with Bing's AI for a little bit, and I honestly feel like I'm annoyed by it because I think it's going to start erasing black people, not on purpose.
What? How?
Because I have D&D characters who happen to be black.
Okay.
So I say skinny, dark-skinned male with afro or with braids or with this or that.
Yeah.
And the prompt will work at first. And then I'll change a word like wearing a cloak. I'll add that. And they'll go,
white,
possibly harmful material. I'm like, okay, I'll get rid of erasing a cloak. It'll say possibly harmful material.
Wait, what?
So I'll add wearing a cloak, but then I'll get rid of dark-skinned man.
And it's good?
And then it'll work.
Fucking AI. Dude, they put like Midjourney, ChatGPT, Dolly, they all put a bunch of restrictions in a few months back that just fucked it.
Yep.
ChatGPT just released. God, here goes our AI. We should have a jingle for AI. ChatGPT just released their update where now Dolly is integrated for Plus users.
Okay.
So you can ask it to create images and it'll do that now. It's fucking insane. I mean, I could just be talking to it, be like, come up with an idea for a character. What does he look like? It'll show me the picture.
Oh.
Change this. It'll change that. Change that. I gotta share a thread with you where I asked it to make a picture. Gives me 4 examples. I go, use the 4th one. But change this, changes the picture, make it pixel art, changes it to pixel art. You know what? Add another person adds another person. Like it's not even as complicated as Midjourney and Dolly where you're using keywords and shit. It's just conversational.
Yeah.
And it's just doing what I want.
I've been playing with the
crazy.
ChatGPT app on my phone, and it's been a great assistant.
It's a very good assistant.
I'm working on a board game, and it's helping me come up with like, what do I need to do to make this work?
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
Algorithmically, how would these cards fall? What kind of like cards would I need to get this to work
It's
for this
it's
to like
insane.
do this?
It's an
Like it
insane
is, it's
capability.
super helpful,
And-
and the fact that I'm asking it like I'm talking to you right
Yeah.
now is
Well,
is amazing.
And I mean, I love the fact that it's going to allow people to be more creative that maybe don't have the technical know-how or don't have the
The
time
skill
or the skill.
or
You
the
know,
time, yeah.
like you're talking about. Like I don't know how to come up with an algorithm to make a card game work, but maybe I'm a super creative person that would be able to make a dope card game if I had that skill. Now I can just use
Yeah.
ChatGPT to help me do it.
Again, it is a tool. It is a fucking tool.
Right.
It's like having a calculator.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm using it.
And that's
the same
we've talked
thing-
about it ad nauseum that's the way it needs to
Yeah.
be. It's dude, it's amazing the things it can do. I used I was playing with it the other day and I tried to get it to cracked a cipher and just conversational. Hey, can you help me figure out this cipher? Give it, and it's like, there's not a lot of context and sometimes you need a hint, but we can give it a shot. I'm like, you know what, try again. All right, this is another type of cipher that's used. Let's try that one. It works. And it doesn't just do it. It doesn't just say, maybe it works through it and tells you like, this is a blah, blah cipher. And traditionally this is the way that used. And if we do that, here's the results that come out. And that doesn't really make a coherent sentence. That's probably not right. Try it again. All right, we're going to try this cipher. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
By next episode, I'm going to make a promise that I'm not going to remember. But by next episode, I'm going to ask ChatGPT how I should grieve. And I'm going to let everybody know
ChatGPT, I'm
sad.
sad.
I should grieve.
How should I grieve?
Yeah.
You know what? The AI cipher thing was the last thing on the list of things I want to talk about today. And I was like, we're not going to get to one. You brought up Dennis's mental health day, and that got that on the list. You brought up AI, and that got that on the list. So we ended up hitting all the things.
Good.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. As always, you can send us a message. Just go to the website. I can't think of the number in the podcast email. Go to our website.
ATIWIHY.com.
ATIWIHY.com.
That's it. Go
Oh,
there.
shit. I got it right, I
You
think.
did get it right. You could go there. Our email address is there. Phone number if you want to leave a voice message. Form if you want to just submit a form electronically. Of course, the shop's there with some t-shirts available if you want to check those out. You probably don't, but if you do, they're available. I got so many t-shirt ideas I want to add. I just have not had the time to like put anything together. I got a long ass list. There's so many. Hung like a 5-year-old. That's one I want to put.
No. I don't want it.
That'd be a great shirt.
Oh, no. I don't
Alright.
want it.
Guys, thanks for listening. We'll be back shortly with another episode, and we'll talk to you next time.
Later. Jesus Christ.
I should just ask AI. I'll just go ChatGPT and be like, hey, give me some t-shirt ideas that are funny.
I just imagine a guy who's like Donald ducking with a magnifying glass over it, and it says censored in the magnifying glass.
That's great, though. Come on, that's hilarious. Donald ducking is
But it's like a
good
small censored.
term. Really tiny black bar. Peace.